I think you and I, we were just talking offline. We're kind of on opposite ends when it comes to this Kyrie thing too.
Yes.
And
Well,
I
no,
guess the way that that correlates into hip hop is because I think that this is a overlay of what the firestorm, the Yace kind of got going on over the past couple of weeks. Shout
okay.
out to Michael Williams with the super chat. He says, with KD3 likely being the last in his trilogy, it'd be dope if they eventually drop a deluxe edition. And I know Nas slash Hit Boy have leftovers. And if they actually made a deluxe edition where all of those albums came together, that'd be a dope vinyl piece. Yeah, so Kyrie
Where
Irving
would you
got
like?
suspended.
I'm about to say, what would you like to delve into first? Are we going to start with Kyrie?
Yeah, we'll start with Kyrie. Kyrie got suspended
Oh, okay.
for posting.
Can I say something right quick before you proceed, if you don't mind?
Go ahead.
I think I think our differences have to deal with our nature as people, Mike. And I think you were the type of person that like, if we were born in the 60s, Mike, you would definitely be part of some sort of civil rights activism in your local community, like for our people. I'm serious. I mean that, like, in a good way.
Hmm.
You know, my ass would probably be incarcerated for doing something, but
Well, let me also preface with the fact that, and I've said this on the show before, and maybe some people might get offended if I say this, but I view Jackie Robinson as a traitor to some degree. There was already a functioning league with the Negro League. You had Negro ownership for black coaches, black players. You had a league that was thriving, that was making money. And, him choosing to go to the major leagues and get treated like shit, for lack of a better term, um,
treat you like a
it
black man.
opened the door for, the Negro League to basically fall apart and open the door for others to be led into that burning house, really. And I think that I know that. Let me just say this: I know that the Negro League would have continued to thrive with having black athletes. I mean, let's be real, guys.
They're black athletes, so
Look at the NBA. Look at the NBA. Look at the talent that was in the Negro League. Let's just be perfectly honest, and I'll say that respectfully when it comes to Jackie Robinson, because if it wasn't for him, I mean, if it weren't him, it probably would have been somebody else, right? And
correct.
see, this is the thing too. And before people curse me out about the Jackie Robinson thing, it would be one thing if Jackie was like the greatest player in the Negro League, but that wasn't the case.
It's fair.
He wasn't Josh Gibson. He wasn't. You know what
No,
I'm
that's
saying?
fair.
So on a talent level, there's no way to really justify it. It would be one thing if and if anybody believes that a league full of black players from a talent standpoint were inferior to the league full of white players, I don't know what to tell you. Let me ask you this, Coop. Do you think those major league players were faster than those players in the Negro League?
No, I'll tell you what. No, let me. I know you're kind of asking in jest and rhetorically,
Well,
but
let's be real.
let me respond to some of your commentary, and then we'll delve into the Kyrie thing. Initially, when you made the Jackie Robinson statement to me, Mike, I was actually slightly appalled with you making the statement. And out of respect for you, I sat back and actually thought about some of what you were saying. And and I always tell people this: I'm very, very pro-black. That doesn't make me anti-white or anti-anything like anti-Semitic. I just happen to be pro-black, and for the thriving of blacks and black businesses and stewardship and forthrightness and influence and inheritance and generational wealth and all those beautiful things. And so when you offer me the perspective of how he potentially rehabilitated our black league and our black dollar, which I am a major proponent of, I am going to say that there is some credence to what you are saying. I just think that sometimes you take it too far. Like to call him a traitor, I think is a little strong. To call him misguided or coerced might be a little wiser.
Okay, I guess that's fine. And again, I guess it's strong because again, we haven't had
No, I
we
feel the
haven't
sentiment.
had black ownership in sports honestly until Cube's big three, to be real. But Someone in the chat said something about that the Negro League wouldn't have thrived. Why not? Why do you feel that way? A league full of black coaches, black owners, and black athletes that was thriving, by the way. Let's just be real here. Let's just be perfectly honest. You have a league where, I mean, everything is, separate, right? You
Mm-hmm.
don't think that people are paying tickets to see these black athletes go out there and play baseball? That's like someone saying that there weren't white people across town that were going to black areas to see black performers perform. That's just disingenuous here. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just is what it is. And again, not to say that, one's better than the other or whatever. It's the fact that from a talent standpoint, there is no gap.
No,
There
I get
is
what
no
you're saying,
gap.
Mike. Like, if white people will go to Harlem to hear some jazz, they'll go to Brooklyn to catch a ball game.
Exactly. And we're
I
talking
think
about a time before television, too. So it's not about access. It's not one of those things where you're like, oh, well, they weren't showing the Negro League games on television. It's not one of those things. It's one of
no, it's
those things where you had an option where it's like, look, I want to see some good baseball. I can go here or I could go here, whatever. It was making money. And that's just a factual thing. I mean, I don't know what kind of self-hate or, outside hate some people have, but you can look up the Negro League and look at the numbers that it was doing and look at where it started to decline, and it started to decline with Jackie Robinson. That's just a factual thing. But again, that's my belief system from a historic standpoint, and I only point that out because that was the only league that we ever had on a major level. We never had a basketball league until now, but you know what I mean? Like, we just didn't.
all of these things are correct, and that's why I'm going to give it some credence. I
And,
just know how we feel about things culturally and how hard it is for us to separate ourselves from the few proud cultural traditions that we have here in America that we can edify and hold up high. His breaking into the major leagues in the minds and the hearts of a lot of blacks here in America
because,
is
let's
very
just be.
relevant and prevalent in
Mhm.
their hearts and souls. But we do also have to be realistic about the collateral damage that occurred. And the collateral damage is actually the dissolution of the Negro League. And so it goes with like the old adage, like you usually have to give up something to get something. And when you forge the sentiment of questioning what we gain for this man to be treated like shit, and for us to even be dealing with the same institutional systemic racial issues that we have today in sports in general, which is supposed to be a meritocracy. I
Right.
totally understand, and that's what makes your statement valid. It would be different if things were different for us today, but really, all we get is a bigger check to go with the racism when we're an athlete now.
Well, I think that the other part of it is too, like you said, it would be different if we had adequate ownership that actually reflected um, the number of black athletes that are in these sports. I wouldn't have said those things. Let's just say hypothetically, Jackie Robinson goes to the major league, and we have the King Griffey's, we have the Willie Mays, we have Frank Thomas's, Barry Bonds, whatever, whatever. But in 2022, half of the major league is ran by black owners. I wouldn't say any of those things. I'd be like, you know what? Those steps, that actually really did something on a
No,
major
no,
level.
that's why I'm telling you the
Yeah,
credence is in structurally. The only thing that's really changed, because you spoke immediately to the treatment and also the dissolution, so it debilitated us financially
mm-hmm.
for us to thereby incur more racism at the cost of a dollar sign. So it's pretty much saying we will accept your racism for a price.
And my
And that's
in my
not and
way
that's
of
not and that's
thinking,
not a healthy black archetype or trope for us to have.
exactly. And my way of thinking is if the Negro League would have continued to flourish, you have a Willie Mays in there, you have a Hank Aaron in there, and it continues to make money and be bigger and bigger, who's to say that we wouldn't have had a black-owned basketball league? You know what I mean? Who's to say that Bill Russell wouldn't have had to deal with the things that he dealt with because he went into a league and played in Boston where that was the only place that he could play at that level? You know what I
Well, I
mean?
think I think the most valid sentiment in it is that what I can see business wise, this is how my business mind works. What you're saying, if we kind of stand pat and hold fort, these the the ownership that we're just now starting to delve into, and the generational wealth from our athletes and the entertainers in the prior generation that has transcended into our generation and our elder statesmen or middle age, it probably could have happened 20 to 25 years sooner had we stood pat, financially and business speaking. And that's what I get what you're saying is like, oh, well, we could have stepped into their league like on some half and half where it's like, well, the leagues come together, but there are 15 black owners, 15 white owners. And what we have is some real parity and fairness, and thereby the systemic and the institutional racism thereby dissolves itself, not the economics of the black community. So very valid and astute point, Mike, even though we don't like it. I need a small favor. I need to go get some water from upstairs because it's like the only thing I forgot.
No.
I want to talk about Kyrie because although I agree with you about a lot of your stance about Jackie Robinson due to your education and information you have provided, I do not agree with you about this Kyrie shit.
Okay, well, we'll talk about that too. And we're going to get to the music. I know that, you know what I'm saying, sometimes when we get into these other topics, people tune out. But what did y'all think about the Drake and 21 Savage album? I mean, I'm going to do a little preview of some of my thoughts, but I want to know what people's favorite songs are from that project. Before I chime in with mine. Oh, those some quotes right there. Here's the track list right here. Sounds like Coop kind of liked it. I think Coop's coming back. My thoughts were 21 sounded out of place. Sounded like a Drake album that might have been unfinished, and 21 came in to fill in some verses here and there. I think the production was good too. But yeah, let's get to this Kyrie thing. So yeah, fundamentally, this is my thing. And again, I only started with the whole.
We both feel this is Kanye influenced, right? Can I just say that we feel this is Kanye influenced?
Definitely Kanye influenced. And absolutely. I think that this is a situation where he kind of learned from some of the things that Kanye had missteps by. But he still suffered the same result, right? This is kind of where I correlated it to as well, because we talk about hip hop and hip hop's content. You and I have talked about this too on the show, where Niggas for Life is like the worst album ever from a content standpoint. I often harp on the fact that Kim from the Marshall Mathers LP, from a content standpoint, is one of the worst songs ever in hip hop. You want to talk about misogyny? You want to talk about, woman hating, whatever? Mm-hmm. Crazy. I can't imagine if that album would have came out today in social media times and, people heard Kim for the first time. But with that being said, if I post Niggas for Life on my social media platform, my personal page, right?
Right.
And I say, you know what? This is a classic. Great album. Incredible album. Whatever. Does that mean that I agree with everything that is on that album?
No.
And should I be fired from my job or suspended from my job because MC Ren is saying all kind of wild stuff that I don't even want to say on YouTube because we'll probably get, ducked for it? But does that mean because I post Niggas for Life and I say, yo, this album's great, or just post it and don't say anything, does that mean I agree with everything on that album?
No, but here's the thing about it. First of all, and I do understand fundamentally what you're trying to say with that, and there's some valid points to that. But then that's where the devil's in the detail, and this is where the detail matters. Well, NWA is a controversial group that sells records off of controversy, and the powers that be that are responsible for paying them endorse that type of behavior from them.
Is that okay?
No, that does not make it fundamentally okay. That's why I say fundamentally, I understand what you were saying. But when you start skewing it down and narrowing out the scope of it, it's like, well, this behavior and this rhetoric is encouraged because this is supposed to be music and art form where you're supposed to speak freely. Now, let me finish what I'm about to say before you go, because I already know where you're going to go. Okay? Musically, it is more encouraged that you have this type of freedom of speech. It's like one of those unsaid rules. Now, I don't make these rules up, but usually freedom of speech and music usually has more credence than somebody who works for a corporate organization, Mike.
Can I say something real quick? I know you.
Please. No, please
Well, how
do.
does that work out for Sheik when he says stack chips like blank in All About the Benjamins?
Right. No. It's
That's music.
fundamentally, no. Fundamentally, Mike, I'm not disagreeing with what's going on. What I'm telling you is that this is what I mean. You would be great like human resources or civil rights. It's like, oh, well, I mean, Mike, I'm a businessman. And it's like, well, Kyrie's boss is a Jewish man. The person who runs his league that's responsible for signing his checks, like, his checks have have a Jewish man's name on them. You understand what I'm saying? When I'm saying that Kyrie Irving's checks have a Jewish man's name on them.
Well, you know what?
The commissioner, Adam Silver. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay, and let me say this, and I want to say this respectfully. Do the players not understand that without them on the court, there is no game? And I think that from a union standpoint, and I know they have a players union, and I speak more to the entertainment industry too, because we talk about MCs and rappers and hip hop artists needing a union. I think that we can't just be, and I say we, as in black players, because the NBA is like 95% black. The rap game, hip hop is a black art form. Let's just keep it real, right? From a mainstream hip hop artist standpoint, the people who assign the biggest artists in the game, at some point, did the players say, nah, you know what? We have some level of power too. And there are some things that we're not okay with that, like you said, from the musical standpoint, we're not okay with some of the things that go on with these artists' contracts. And before those things get addressed, we're not going to go out there on the court. It's just not as simple as the fact that, okay, well, you guys own everything, because obviously we own nothing outside of Michael Jordan, right? You guys own everything, so anything that offends you, even if it's something that doesn't even have any context, you damn near own me. And I don't think that's fair when at the end of the day, if those guys didn't go out there, there is no game. There is no money to be made in the NBA if those guys don't go out there. So there needs to be some level of respect for black players, the black community in general. I mean, because even when things go down with the black community, unjust things, these leagues do nothing to stand by it. Let's be real.
No, they don't. But I told you this. This is more of a business thing. But here's what I tell you, and I'll just turn the tables on you hypothetically. When Mike, as the owner of According to Hip Hop,
right? If
we had a white employee, and that white employee put up a Klan rally from 1960, where a black man was hung, and the word nigger was used profusely, and not in the A way, in the ER way.
Mm-hmm.
As the owner of According to Hip Hop, Mike, when your employee says, well, I don't endorse everything that happened in there, well, tell me personally how you feel as a black man, and then tell me professionally what do you think should be done, and then you tell me how you're going to trust that employee moving forward to make intelligent, solved business decisions that do not compromise According to Hip Hop.
That's fair. And, again, I would handle that accordingly, no pun intended. So I think that person would have to be removed. It's disrespectful. But this is the thing, too, Coop. It's also like, let's just say hypothetically, that scenario happened, and for whatever reason, 95% of the According to Hip Hop staff is white.
Mm-hmm.
It changes the dynamics a little bit, because you know what? At this point, you would expect, or at least I would expect, on these terms, for some of those employees that are the 95% majority to somehow group together from a union standpoint and be like, no, that's not fair. He didn't say anything. He just posted something that was a documentary. So, yes, I might think twice, like, okay, well, I'm looking around me. Well, you know what? This might be something that, people could come together on or whatever. I don't know, but
You
I
see,
feel
but
what
here's
you're
the
saying.
thing.
But the conflict is, Coop, everything is so disproportioned from who the workers are and who the owners are, and that's what
True.
makes everything so blurred. If things could be a little bit balanced altogether, then I think these situations would have a lot more clarity and they would have a lot more balance the way that they're spoken about, especially in the media as well.
No, and I agree with you on that sentiment.
And
But
that's
this
why
is
we
what
started
I'm.
with the whole Negro League thing too.
No, great connective tissue. But here's what I'm going to submit to you, and this is what I mean about the devil being in the detail. Oh, a lot of what you're saying is right, Mike, except then let's get to the person that it's coming from. And that's where like all the credibility of it gets lost, because here's what he is in his profession right now as we see it. Validly, a cancer and a separator, and not somebody who galvanizes things and brings things together. Okay? The only time this guy's actually looked like a team player, when he's actually been literally right next to the greatest leader in the sport that he currently plays in LeBron James. It's the only time he's even looked like a team player. And so everything that you're talking about is valid. And what I'm telling you is that he's not the guy, and he's a pseudo intellectual on top of that. Like I told you, Mike, I don't even think he watched that whole thing, or he wouldn't have posted it to begin with. He just think he knows so much. And if you know so much, this is what I'll tell you. When Malcolm X was released from jail and he began to rise to prominence, Mike, and he would go on these talk shows with a panel of white men.
Mm-hmm.
What he did to prove his point about who we were, he used his intelligence. He used information, historical and empirical data. He used knowledge and words from their own text that they had quoted and turned them back around on them. He's not doing that, Mike, and he's not capable of that. That's why I'm calling him a pseudo intellectual, and that need to come from him. This is a team he's a team cancer in his sport, and on an intellectual level, a pseudo intellectual, because never does he provide any sort of historical information. Even when they ask him, well, are you anti-Semitic? And he was like, well, I know who I really am and where I come from, so I can't be. It's like, you see, no. That's not how you really forge that conversation when you're
You wanted him
intelligent.
to break down what he
Right.
wanted to say. I
Like,
got you.
how many times do I come on here and it's like, well, anytime a white man, forget their religious or sociological or economical class, anytime a white man asks me what I think about the Bible and where it came from, I tell them it's like, well, go look at where the people are from and show me what the people look like.
Right.
And then you and I can have a conversation about the rest. I told you, Peter, who is in a lot of contexts historically considered to be the founder of the Roman Catholic Church in Rome, was a fisherman and a clerk from Syria. Yeah. Well, Syria's been hot for eons, Mike. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me get to some of these super chats, though. I want you to finish your
because I know
thought.
that. Do you see how I framed that conversation? Do you see how you flip the conversation? It's
Right.
like, well, see, when people ask you a question like that, it's like, well, what do you think when I said that? How about that? How about you get back to me, and then I'll let you do the talking, and we'll see who slips up first.
Well, I got something to say to that, but let me get to these super chats. Darius Campbell says, the same problem back then is what we have now, PTSD and Stockholm Syndrome. Definitely.
Definitely.
Melvin with the super chat says, Lecrae's Church Clothes 4 is the best rap album out today. Best rapping I've heard from him in a while. Gotta check that out. I fuck with Lecrae. I shouldn't say it like that. I know he's a gospel rapper. I rock with Lecrae heavy. Mad Max with the super chat says, LOL, the thing about Ye and Kyrie is their pawns being used. They're using them and them to get rid of the Black Israelite camp and to get rid of the certain books from print media that have certain truths in them. They're using them to get rid of those. Yeah, and I had something to say about that too. And this is my thing with the NBA. And again, I haven't seen the documentary or I haven't read the book or anything. But if it gets to the point or has gotten to the point where everything is about Kyrie posting this, so terrible, he gotten suspended, I don't understand why the NBA hasn't gone at Amazon or shown their disgust at Amazon or Jeff Bezos for actually distributing this piece of work. And I get it. It's a free market. Amazon can put up whatever they want, but at the end of the day, they're the ones that's actually profiting from this piece. And I don't understand how the NBA doesn't have a problem with that.
I think that's because, and I told you this behind the scenes when we briefly talked about it, Mike. I do think that is, see, it's hard not to take these things personal, but you do have to look at the economics of it. So let's look at the economic cycle.
Mm-hmm.
NBA, Amazon, business partners who make money for each other off of each other's products. Kyrie, NBA makes money off Kyrie. NBA pays Kyrie.
So it's not the same rules with employees and partners.
Right. We have an employee and owner situation, and then we have a business partner situation. And economically speaking,
well, all right, let's say this,
you don't
right?
dissolve partnerships, Mike. You don't dissolve partnerships that make you hundreds of millions, billions of dollars. You fire employees who potentially cost you.
Well, this is the thing.
That is how business works. That's not personal. People got to take the personal out of that and understand that even for a company that has 30 employees, oh, that's the dude that's getting fired today.
Well, cool. Let's just look at it like this. If they're partners and, they both have their own individual businesses, and this is just one book, one publication, right? And it's about morals and principalities or whatnot. You don't think that the NBA could reach out to their partners in Amazon and say, hey, we need this one off the shelves? And the people at Amazon, what are they going to do? Bark back at them on it?
I think, you know what, Mike? I mean, you forging that. I think that's a great middle ground. I think it may not be enough to ask for dissolution of partnership because I just think that that's unrealistic and it's not going to happen. But if you want to ask for something realistic, to ask the NBA, since they have a problem, like on one side, it's like, don't be two-faced. And I understand what you're saying. It's like, well, if you're going to have an issue with him, even posting this because of the rhetoric, can you encourage your business partner to take it down for us, please, Mike? That's not too much to ask.
That hasn't even been a part of the conversation, and it's like it would be one thing. It would be one thing if this was a part of the conversation and Amazon said no, but it's like that hasn't even been publicized on any level.
Well, here's what I'm going to submit to you, and this is what I mean about him being a pseudo-intellectual. Well, he's the one causing all this stir. Why hasn't he pushed for that? Because he ain't concerned with that. Because he lost and he really don't know what he's doing. Right?
Maybe he's so wrapped up in defending himself.
We're forging the conversation of applying the pressure to the NBA that he trying to apply, but he acting like such a damn fool in how he's handling. All he did was got himself suspended and lost about $1.2 million in the process. That's all he did for himself. It's not intelligent.
I just view Kyrie
personally, professionally.
I think that you're asking a little bit too much from Kyrie as an intellectual per se. He's an NBA player, and he's even said this. Like
he needs to stop acting like
he's a professional. Right? He said this in the interview. He said, "When you ask me about basketball, I give you my professional opinion, and when you ask me about this stuff, I give you my opinion." He's still figuring things out. He's 30. He's still a young man. I think that he is still reading and watching as much as possible to learn a lot, what he feels like what has been covered from him from an educational level his whole life. And I think that, and you've even said this on the show before, when you're in that discovery period, you read and watch everything. Doesn't mean you agree and with everything that you read and watch, but to actually understand a lot of different faith systems, or even to have an opinion on certain things, you kind of got to read it. You kind of got to watch it. And I've even told you on this show, like, I haven't read the Quran enough to even to be able to formulate a real healthy opinion on it. You know what I mean?
Okay, understood, and that's fair. And to be honest with you, I'm too far removed from having read it, like a whole nother lifetime away from having read it, to be able to provide you with succinct, off the top of the dome information and relevance and insight the way I could with the Bible. Right. And so I get what you're saying in fairness to those things. But here is the reality of the matter, though. Kyrie works for one of America's biggest corporate companies. and Kyrie is one of the biggest faces of one of these biggest corporate companies, and they're paying Kyrie a lot of money to be part of this corporate company. And this is what I'm saying, Mike. This isn't the first time he's tampered or played with the structure to a degree.
I just view him as an individual.
I get like Mike. It's okay to be a rebel. It's not okay to be like out of line and outright egregious. Like this is egregious on a business level. His boss is Jewish. Literally, the guy who runs his league is Jewish. A lot of the sponsors are Jewish. It's not a good business decision. You yourself just said if a white person were to do something of this scope, they would be let go. He needs to be happy he just got suspended for 5 games is what I'm trying to tell you. This is not what you do in business. This is not personal. If you want to personally break down who you feel like the black man is, then step up to the plate and show me, Mike, because I haven't seen him do that yet. That's why I keep calling him a pseudo-intellectual. And pseudo-intellectuals do stuff like post falsified information that they themselves aren't clear on. That's what makes you a pseudo-intellectual. It's coming from a place of you not having the proper information and then becoming dangerous by disseminating that opinion further.
Well, again, he didn't say that he agreed with it. He made it very explicit that he didn't agree with everything that was in there. But I think that in the discovery process...
Hold on, listen to what you just said, Mike. You know what an attorney would do in a court of law? He said he didn't agree with everything in there, and then the attorney would ask, well, please, tell me what parts you agreed with exactly, so we can be clear and have some clarity, but he hasn't done that either.
But again, Coop, and I'm glad you mentioned that. Why is he on trial for something he watched?
Well, why? Because Mike, he's not on trial, but he can't answer. But he can't answer the questions to even rationalize why he's doing what he's doing. That is why I'm calling him a pseudo.
I'm going to be perfectly honest.
He has no rationale, Mike. He looks lost to me.
Cool. He doesn't owe anybody an explanation. He doesn't. That's just the real.
You're right. He doesn't owe anybody an explanation. Hold on. Mike, do he work for a company?
He don't owe them an explanation for what he watched.
Mike, does he work for? Is he an employee of a company, Mike?
He is.
Has his boss taken issue with him, Mike?
They don't own him though, Coop. And I think this is what's different.
You said he doesn't have to answer to anybody, Mike. Is he an employee of a company? Yes or no?
He is. Yeah.
Oh, then he answers to somebody. Then doesn't he?
He answers to somebody when it is concerning basketball and basketball topics.
Hold on.
We've never seen anything like this before.
What is Kyrie Irving's profession?
He's a basketball player.
Okay, in his profession, you want to know what just happened to him? He just got suspended. So don't tell me he don't have nobody to answer to. If he didn't have anybody to answer to, Mike, he would be playing tonight, wouldn't he?
Again, I think.
But he answers to somebody, and they said,
I understand what you're saying, but that doesn't make it right.
Oh, this is what I'm talking about. You be a great civil rights activist, Mike. This right and wrong shit in business ain't about the play. When you talking about hundreds of millions of dollars on the table, ain't nobody trying to hear about, oh, well, he has the right to say that. A motherfucker that you about to cost $300 to $500 million doesn't give a damn about whether Kyrie's right or not. You understand that?
No, I feel you.
Business.
I feel you. And again, he knows this. He's been in this business.
Mike,
he's in the game.
As a black man, Mike, I'm telling you, as a black man in business, if he would have did that and I'd be the owner of the team, he'd already be done for the season.
Okay, well, this is the thing. At what point?
No, you ain't about to play with my money. I'm about to play with yours and show you who's the boss and who's the employee, so we don't have these issues again.
But Coop, at the end of the day, at what point?
Very nice to him.
At what point? Coop, at what point does a player not stand on their own principles and the fact that he should be able to post whatever he wants on his?
Take your money and go start your own league.
Okay.
You got enough money. You got a lot of money. Go talk to Ice Cube. Help the big three out more since he's so tired of the NBA and how they run their business and corporate sponsorships.
Hey, I wouldn't put it past
him. Until then, you're an employee and your owner is, and the guy who runs your league is Jewish, and you just posted something that was anti-Semitic. It's just very foolish as a black businessman, is what I'm trying to tell you.
Well, I think it's very sad in a sense where it's like you have 95% of black players who basically make up the league because there is no game without them, right? And the ownership looks like just Michael Jordan. And it's unfortunate in the fact that, because everything that you're pointing to is, his boss is this, or saying this person owns this. You're an employee of this.
Because he's talking like he don't got no boss, Mike. He talking like he's some sort of free man who has some sort of power and wealth and affluence that gives him the platform to speak. And then he's speaking like he's the intelligent authority on this, like people follow him like that.
These are elite individuals. This isn't a regular job. This is a job where there are only 400 spaces. And when you talk about the people who are elite in this league with only 400 spaces, it's only 20 to 25 of them, and he's one of those guys. So it's not like he's a regular employee.
No. He's not, Mike. That's what makes it all the more dangerous. Well, like what you just said is what makes it more dangerous, because you're talking about a very specified, special class of people and of league in this country, and of that special class of people, he's in the AP class with all the real special people. Like that class only holds about 20 people. Like, the average class from about 17 to 20 people, Mike. That special class, he's one of those people in that room. That's part of the problem, the attention that it gets when one of those special people acts like that they're the most special person in the room and above the fray that everybody else is. Look at how much LeBron James and his teammate Kevin Durant speak out when something wrong happens. And notice they have both been silent. You want to know why, Mike? Because they know that he's wrong on a business level.
Well, Coop. Well, what do you think about the Kaepernick?
He ain't even said
what do you think about Kaepernick kneeling?
We about to mess with my run to $1 billion. Son.
What do you think about Kaepernick kneeling then? Because it's the same thing, and nobody stood next to him, and he was an employee.
Hold on, and he exercised his right to kneel, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that about?
It doesn't matter what it was about. It was against.
No. Listen to the difference. You see, the difference between Colin Kaepernick. No. The difference between Colin Kaepernick and Kyrie Irving is that Colin Kaepernick actually had a goal, a motive, an objective. And when you asked him, he actually explained to you with clarity every single time what it was.
But did that help the end result, though?
How dare you compare Kyrie Irving to Colin Kaepernick?
What I'm comparing is everything that you're talking about. He was an employee. None of it, the LeBron Jameses of the world, and none of it. Let me finish. It didn't matter.
There's the real and the fake.
Cool. You're talking about something totally different. At the end of the day, none of his players stood next to him on this, right?
No, other players did stand next to him. Like, he was not alone. Kyrie is alone.
Not initially, Kaepernick was alone, bro. He was.
No, Eric Reed kneeled with him, Mike. He literally did it maybe a week alone. You're wrong. And other players kneel too. And other players have spoken up for Kaepernick. Yeah. Nobody said anything on
after
Kyrie's
the fact. Because I remember
rappers talk about Kaepernick. Mike, you think rappers have to talk about Kyrie?
Listen to what I'm saying. It's too early. It's too early. At the end of the day, I remember.
It ain't too early, Mike.
Let me finish. I remember when they did these. It was like a pregame or whatever, or a preseason thing when they talked to LeBron. And they talked to Steph. It was like, are you standing for the pledge? Them niggas said yes. Steph denied even knowing Kaepernick. I remember these things. And this is after they went out there for the ESPYs where they were talking about they were standing on social justice and all of that. But when shit hit the fan with Kaepernick, Kaepernick was alone. It is what it is. A couple of people on the field kneeled with him. Some people got cut.
That's a couple more people than Kyrie has, Mike, which makes immediately the conversation not the
same. What's a much bigger league?
He has one of the 10 to 12 greatest players of all time right next to him that has a very, very loud voice, and he's not saying anything. The biggest voice in this league, who is always an advocate for when things get done wrong with our black community. Like, anytime something or somebody's done wrong in this community, LeBron James steps up and speaks, Mike. Why do you think he's being quiet? Because he knows that he's dealing with a fool.
He was quiet with the Kaepernick thing until it got mainstream. He was. When they asked him about Kaepernick, and you can go back and look at it, he said, I'm standing for the pledge.
Okay.
That's what he said. It is what it is. But what I'm saying is, and I only brought up Kaepernick. At the end of the day, Coop, I only brought up the Kaepernick thing because Kaepernick's an employee, just like you said, right? And it didn't matter what he was standing on. The league pushed him out. He never got back in, right? That doesn't make it right.
Understand the difference. Hold on. Understand the difference. Mike.
The result's the same.
No. The result is not the same. Look at what just happened. No, listen. Kyrie didn't want to apologize, right? They suspended him for 5 games. Mike, what we get as soon as they suspended him for 5 games?
Well, I don't believe that's really him
No,
writing the
Mike.
apology.
Answer the question. See, you talking about what you don't believe. Let's talk about what happened, Mike. Did the nigga apologize?
Until I see Kyrie Irving with a microphone in front of him saying, I apologize, I'm not believing this.
Mike, did an apology get issued by Kyrie Irving? Yes or no?
I ain't seen him say it. The
No.
apology got
asking if
issued
you
with
seen
the
him say
baby
it, Mike.
too.
I'm asking you if a apology has been issued by Kyrie Irving's team or by Kyrie Irving. Has an apology been issued?
He could have
When
got
have you
locked
ever
out of
heard
his
Colin
account.
Kaepernick apologize, Mike? Word.
Yeah,
You understand the difference? The weak and the strong, Mike. That's what I'm talking about.
Said Kyrie
like, I don't
weak?
even believe you just tried to pull that. This nigga apologized as soon as they took $1 million. They took Kaepernick's whole career, and he said, "Nah, fuck that." That's
you don't
the
think Kyrie?
Mike.
I haven't seen Kyrie apologize. I hadn't seen it.
Mike, you issued a whole statement. Mike, would you like me to pull up the statement and read the apology to you so you can confirm live on According to Hip Hop that the apology occurred?
I read the statement. It didn't sound like him.
Okay, you read the statement. In the statement.
Listen.
Who did they say the statement came from, Mike?
When you see a microphone in front of his face and Kyrie says the same thing that was there.
Mike, how can you say, hold on. So, Mike, let me get this straight. As a journalist, if you were to do an article and an artist was to tell you, well, I don't know if he wrote the article because he wasn't in front of me to recite the article. Would that invalidate your article? Because that's essentially what you're saying right now. You're saying you need to hear him say that he's sorry in order for him to apologize. No, Mike, the nigga already apologized. You want to know why?
All right, let me say this. If that same artist was in front of the world with the microphone in front of their face a day before and said, yeah, I'm not fucking with According to Hip Hop and I'm not interviewing with them, and then I put up a written article and I say it's them, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with somebody saying they had questions.
It's a yes or no, Mike, and I get what you're trying to do.
It's the truth.
Wrong. Mike, he apologized. Colin Kaepernick never apologized. Stop trying to compare the two.
Instagram apologized. Let me get to these super chats real quick.
Hold on. Which is more than Colin Kaepernick ever did. They took more from Kaepernick and he still didn't apologize. So you're still making my point for me. Okay. Even if it's a statement. Hold on. That statement that Kyrie issued after getting suspended. Think about this. Kaepernick lost his career, never issued any sort of statement or apology. This dude got suspended for 5 games and curled up in the fetal position and apologized.
Well, all right. I'm not going to let you do Kyrie like that. I'm not going to let you do Kyrie like that. Cool. No. Let's be 100%.
He's dangerous, Mike.
Hold on. Let me put things in context too.
I'm sorry. Right. Another $1 million.
Can I talk? It's a little different when you're at an all-star level and then you're getting beat out by Blaine Gabbert at that point in your career. They're not at the same points of their career. Kaepernick was at a position to walk away. Let me get to these super chats.
Contracts, Mike.
My Mere Thought says, her loss, 425. Yeah, we're going to get to that album. We need to go ahead and get into that. Eric Terrell with the super chat says, Coop, should you get in trouble for telling people you have a movie on the public platform? Why not get made at a platform for giving access? Why not get mad at the platform for giving access? It's issue with Kyrie don't have a movie platform. Yeah, he's not selling the movie. Mad Max says, I don't know why people are falling for this storyline when the powers that be are using them to come at the true enemies, being certain groups. You guys are talking in codes. Deontay Smith with the super chat says, we have enough black billionaires and millionaires to start our own league. That's a better path than trying to get $6 billion to buy an NFL and NBA team. I just say, what's stopping all of the players from saying, you know what? I don't want to play in the NBA anymore. I'm going to go play at this league that Michael Jordan started or that, LeBron James is in.
What can you guarantee?
Hey, that's the risk. That's the risk of starting a business. You can guarantee this. We got the best motherfucking athletes in the world. That's what you can guarantee. Because that's the one thing that I think these players don't understand, and that's a mental thing. Nobody can match their level of play. You remember when the NFL...
that's the problem, Mike. This ain't basketball, though. He's going into religion.
I ain't talking about him anymore. I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about...
Okay. That's what I was about to say.
I'm just talking about... Because at the end of the day, even if whatever people think is right or wrong in this situation, I think people are all over the place on this. One thing we can all agree on is these players in this league are scared shitless to go out there and give their true opinions. It's too one-sided, Coop. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody is it's a script almost, and it's
Can I
fear.
tell you a
It
story?
is what it is. And what I'm saying is, I want to finish this point though. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, they have to understand they're the best athletes in this sport in the world. When the NFL referees band together and say, you know what, we're going on strike, and you remember they had those replacement referees, the games are trash. And and that only lasted for like 2 games, and they brought the real referees back. Can you imagine if the best players, the 50 best players in the NBA, just said, "Fuck it, nah, I'm going to this league." The product is done. And that's why I have such a problem with the NBA going out there on this HBCU kick. And I hate that Chris Paul goes out here on this HBCU kick, because none of you guys went to HBCUs. None of you in the NBA doesn't even draft from HBCUs. You don't send your kids to HBCUs. And the crazy part is, if one of those guys went to one of those teams, it would change the whole dynamic of an HBCU school. Not even just the basketball
like
program.
Deion going to Coach Jackson.
Yeah. If you had somebody like a Zion Williamson, it would have went to like an Alabama State or something. That changes everything.
I was actually thinking North Carolina A&T.
If you had Kevin Durant going to like you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You have Kevin Durant going to HBCU, that changes everything. So that lets you know right there, like then and there, they're not interested in going out there making a difference on their own. They think that they can only make it with the people who don't even play basketball. You guys are the draw. You guys are they don't understand that.
No, they do understand that. Okay, so let's just break it down and get personal right quick. People who are close to me know that I do not want to live in the United States full time once my daughter is grown and established. She does not want to live here full time. Do you want to know why that is, Mike?
Why is that?
Because the socioeconomic structure isn't really built for somebody of our class and our color to thrive at the maximum capability and probability. You're playing a game where you're trying to maximize the potential that you should, and you got a choice of you can stay and deal with it, or you can try to get out and make it work. Now, for me, I like it here, but I don't love it here. I could see myself about 10 years from now only being here half the year, like long enough to keep my citizenship. Okay? Like literally coming back just to keep my citizenship valid. Because I understand from my travels what my skin means when I go to other places and how I get treated. Oh, but what the dollar means when I take it to other places. And so for these athletes, they're understanding this game, and what they're really doing is that they're playing the game to build their wealth up to go do other things. LeBron's been in ownership of a whole foreign league team for a while now. You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So really the education and the information really needs to be like, understand that this structure institutionally and systemically is racist and not built for somebody like you to make the 85 of the 100%. But take that 15% and make it work and diversify it and put it in other places. And if people will get together and come back, then we can have a conversation. And I'm very serious when I'm saying this. This is the first generation, Mike, where even the wealth has gotten to the point that we can even have that conversation about taking the wealth, dispersing it, amassing it, and coming back and truly doing something about it. That's on the powers that be. That is on the Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Magic Johnson.
When you say coming back, when you say taking it somewhere and coming back, like what are you saying, like specifically? Like, because I'm trying to think of actual, tangible, like success stories of
like buy the stuff up.
Understood.
Like,
but what I'm saying, like, can you actually point to any Black Americans that were able to go to said specific country and do those things where, you know, you can actually see
most people that flee here, most of us that are Black that flee here and really don't come back because it's so great elsewhere and they forget these things, but they're not entrenched business wise on the dollar level that some of these athletes and stars are. But that's what I'm saying. This is the first time the star and the athlete dollar has been like that is feasible. I told you, Mike, when I went to see my homie Obi in Colombia, Colombian peso was 3-1 on the American dollar. It's 4-1 now. Your 50 grand's 200 grand. Right. But
what type of industry, you know, are you able to build down there? And And is there any level of barriers for people who aren't from those
Not to
countries?
quote, not to quote Kyrie Irving, Mike, but I know who I am and where my people come from. It really doesn't matter where you put somebody like me. But I hear what you're
But you
saying.
know what I mean? Like, obviously, any country, anybody that's coming from the outside, they're going to look after the people who are actually in that country first. So that's why I only ask if any of those barriers are there from anybody from the outside.
Like every time I leave this country or leave this hemisphere, like I go across the pond, so to speak, and I cross the Atlantic, Mike, everybody's like, so how's the American problem going? And they point at my skin. Like, we need to start recognizing what time it is. Every time I leave here and go overseas, Mike, how's the American problem going? How they treating y'all?
Is race
Every
an American
time.
problem or is it a global problem?
Every time.
Is that an American problem or a global problem, though?
It's kind of funny how all the foreign people talk about these problems that we have, and you know what they talk about when they talk about our problems, Mike? Guns and racism, Mike.
Let me get to the super chats real quick because I know we're kind of getting long with it. We're going to get into the music. Jay Short says, what made Malcolm X and MLK great is that they needed no interpretation. They said what they meant, and they were clear in their language.
It's because they were educated and informed.
And confident about what they're saying. Like I said, I think that Kyrie is still discovering some things.
Mike, when you're educated and informed, you're inherently confident. You know what you were talking about.
But again, I don't want to be so hard on Kyrie when he's clearly figuring things out. And again, he's only 30.
He's been figuring shit out for a long time, Mike. Like how about this?
It's a journey.
Until you figure things out.
Shut up and dribble?
No. I was actually about to say, until you figure things out, why don't you say less and seek wise counsel like the Bible says? But hold on, that's right. You just posted a video of a book that said that wasn't true. Okay,
but
see
again,
the problem?
He never said that wasn't true. And he was very
I'm sorry, Mike, we don't know what he said he believes or what he didn't. We just know that he believes some of it, but not all of it. I would love for him to step up to the mic and not apologize, but clarify that statement exactly.
LP with the super chat says, Mike, then he needs to stop calling people peons and acting like he's a beacon of truth. Either you know or you don't. And when you don't, act like you don't.
And say I'm sorry.
Hey, listen, I'm one of those people, and y'all know me.
It's easy. Mike, I've come on here plenty of times and said, like, I'm sorry when I've been wrong. Have I not? You want to know why? Because I've been wrong, and I'm a grown-ass man, and that's what you do when you're wrong. It's like, you want to know what? Stepped out of bounds. That was my fault. I'm sorry.
See, this is the thing, though.
It's not hard. I promise when you're a real man, it's not hard to say I'm sorry when you're wrong.
I feel you, but the thing is, man, for him to
unless
post
you're acting like a little boy or a little, you know what I mean? Unless
post it without any...
when you got that shit up in your blood, Mike, that don't make you no man, and it's like it'd be hard for you to apologize. It's like your pride and your ego, and you think that you're somebody you're not. And really all you need to do is just be the bigger man and the better man. That's what I'm trying to say.
You sound like you don't like Kyrie as a player anyway.
I love Duke, Mike. I've been like part of my problem, I've been watching this since he was in high school. Like since he was getting recruited, I've been watching this whole.
Keep it real.
Like,
you've never really been that big of a Kyrie fan.
It's been going on for a minute, Mike.
Keep it real. Cool.
He was healthy to play more than them 13 games too, Mike. He ain't never even been invested about being a baller like that. He's just super talented. He ain't even hungry like that.
You're not that big of a Kyrie fan. Keep it real.
No. I'm a big Kyrie fan. It's just, it is what it is. You can't, in business, Mike, like what I'm trying to tell you, LeBron and KD aren't taking up for him because they're like, are you watching what we're doing? You watching how we're building out these brands and these multifaceted streams of money to enable us to have wealth for generations to be able to purchase these teams that are suppressing you right now? And right in the middle of us doing this, it's like, you want to say something? I'm going to tell you, it goes back to that whole battle versus the war thing. It's like, you think you're doing something, fam. It's like, you really ain't doing nothing for us by doing that. But when you talk this way, it makes it seem like you want to fight. Well, since you want to fight, do you want to win the war or do you want to win this battle? Because posting this video is picking the wrong fight. You're about to lose this battle. And losing this battle may cost you this piece of the war. And here's the other thing about it. He's 30, Mike. The Nets aren't re-signing him.
I think he's
this
fine
is a
with
contract year.
He's clearly fine with that.
It's a contract year.
He's clearly fine with that. Again, I don't know Kyrie.
Mike, if he was fine with that, he wouldn't have apologized when he lost that 5 games worth of money. He apologized about the money. That was the only thing that changed, Mike. The only thing that changed was the fact that that shit didn't cost him no money to talk that shit. And as soon as it cost him some money, we get an issued apology statement. The money matters. He's only 30. And I'm going to tell you what he realized from sitting out last year. He got a long expense tab and he needs to play basketball a little bit longer.
Listen, I don't know any of his personals, and I think even
you don't, Mike, but I'm telling you.
Let me finish.
5 games. He was like, "Oh shit, apologizing after 5 games." You want to know why you apologizing? Because you just lost all your money from last year, damn near.
Again,
come on,
he knows
dude.
this.
I like money, Mike.
And I'm sure that he knows where his money is, and I think he's a smart guy. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not gonna sit here and speculate on what money he has or doesn't have. But what I will say is, I predict that whenever they do get a microphone in front of his face again, they're going to try to get that verbal apology on camera with his voice, and I don't think he's going to give it to him. Jay Short with the super chat says, Kyrie wrong in his approach. You give your money to someone else to speak your beliefs, and let them take it. Example: Candace Owens, Sharpton, Limbaugh, etc. It's interesting. Mad Max says, also, what does it say about the group being offended about facts shown? Facts shows me they're sensitive because they're guilty about thievery. LOL. Sounds like Mad Max may have actually checked out this said documentary. Let me get to some of the other super chats, and we'll go ahead and get to this Drake and 21 Savage album. Kedro with the super chat says, if not this, then it'd be something else. Kyrie destroys team chemistry. He's not a winning basketball player. The third eye stuff is garbage. Whew. Y'all tough on my man.
Hold on. And this is what I mean. I mean, Mike, and I'm going to have to question you on a couple things.
Go ahead.
And this is what I mean. You think it's okay? Do you think this is okay what Kyrie just did?
Do I think it's okay?
I want you, hold on, Mike, before I phrase that question.
I don't have a problem with him posting the documentary, no.
Okay, Mike, now let's be honest here. I've done some things and said some things on this show that we've had conversations about, and it's not even close to this level. And you've told me that I'm better than that. Why aren't you coming up and saying Kyrie is better than this? You feel me?
Because he hasn't said anything, quote unquote, hateful. I think that...
Neither have I, but Mike, you've told me that I'm better than that.
I think we need specific examples.
Like about what happened on the last show with me getting up and walking away. You were like, hey, Coop, it looks like you were leaving. I was like, Mike, I had to pick up my daughter. He's like, but you're better than that. Right.
No, it looked like that you were letting, some people
like letting it get to me. Yeah. Right. It looked like I was letting it get to me. Mm-hmm. And I did something that really wasn't good for our look, kind of like Kyrie just did. And you talked to me like, hey, you're better than that. They tried to talk to him and say he was better than that. He was like, nah, fuck that.
This is the thing, man. I think that
he was like, fuck that, Mike. That's what I'm saying. Where you and me talk, it was like, oh, no, Mike, I feel you, and we cool.
Yeah, but see, again, it's also about...
Kyrie ain't cool. He like, nah, no motion, nigga. Fuck your team.
Cool. To answer that, I also think it's about the approach. And I think that if they would have come to him without calling him names and labeling him something. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the trigger. It's like when you label somebody something that they're not, I think that they're already going to be in defense mode. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I would have came to you in a way and start saying, okay, well, you're acting like this, and this, it would have been different. And I think if they would have come to him with a different approach, like, look, can you explain what's going on here? Then there would be a leg to stand on. But when you automatically go out there and label somebody anti whatever, I think that that's problematic.
I get what you're saying. And here's the thing, and we are going to move on. The approach does matter, but it's not the approach, Mike. It's the insensitivity to the sentiment. I've told you, it's like me as a black man. If this were to be reversed on me and they were to just say, like, let's say somebody who was, let's say Luka Doncic was coming out and was like, well, I'm not from here. Slavery really didn't happen, and I don't really know what this racism is these people are talking about. These people are tripping. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? No, we would be offended, Mike. Like, I would be offended, and I've told you that. And so I try to look at it from the perspective of, let me remove myself from these shoes and see that it's like, well, and this is what I mean. He said, well, that doesn't mean that I believe with anything in there, everything that's in there. That means you thinks that there are some things in there that are true. Now, at the point,
hold on. Let me ask you this.
Let me finish, because I think this is where we're separated, and I just want to clarify, and I'm not trying to stop you short, I promise. Where the anti-Semitic questions come in is from his lack of clarity. And although I don't think that it's fair for them to label him that quickly that way based on this, it's like, well, if you're intelligent and thoughtful and thought-provoking, well, then please clarify, Mike. And he did not do that. And he had multiple opportunity and days to clarify so that those labels wouldn't be attached to him, and he didn't, Mike. And that's what makes me call him a pseudo-intellectual, because how can you say that you're not these things and say that you're intelligent as you are and want to delve into these matters and not want to step to the plate and clarify and or apologize? It's not some middle road that you can keep on traveling where you straddle these lines of things, Mike. And when you talk about him being 30, Mike, I just want you to remember how old Dr. King and Brother Malcolm were when they died. They was clear when they was 30.
Yeah.
So he's not who he thinks he is.
Well, again, Mike. This was their life's work. He's a professional athlete. That's his number one. You know what I mean?
So he might be over his head, Mike, and he might need to say so and apologize. That's what I'm telling you. He's a pseudo-intellectual.
Well, maybe that's what he's doing right now.
He's a pseudo-intellectual, possibly, in my opinion.
And
he's gotten himself over his head on these matters, and he needs to focus on these things when he can come a little bit stronger and in a more intelligent format, apparently, Mike, because he cannot give us anything viable to go off of that says that we should back him up. Like you're saying, why aren't these players backing him? He's not giving them a reason to.
I never expected any of these players to back him. I mean, we already saw what happened.
You think it's striking
we already saw what happened.
Standing next to him?
No, we already saw what happened with Kanye West a couple of weeks ago, and all of these guys got jacked up contracts, and none of them are saying anything. I mean, you got people like, Slim Thug saying things, but nobody in that system, in that ecosystem, are saying anything. So I don't expect any of that. But what I will say, though, and we can move on, is, again, he's still discovering, and I think that we all, as black men in America, I think we can all relate with the fact that we've been lied to a lot historically, right?
Yes.
And I think that he is discovering a lot of the things that he's been that's been lied about historically, and he's doing research and looking everywhere for that, and he has his own prerogative to do so. I have no problem with that at all. When they ask him specifically if he believed that, such event occurred, he said, yes, I do believe that. I never said I didn't. So anything that's being asked specifically, he's either, saying what he believes about it or he doesn't believe. And I have no problem with that, because if he goes out there and goes on a huge diatribe as a professional athlete, they're going to hang on any word. And again, he's still discovering. And they're going to run with it. You know how the media does. The media is there to trip him up. They're not there to clarify. Coop, hold on, let me finish. The media is not there to clarify anything. They're there to trip him up. We know that.
I asked him to clarify. That's why I keep telling you, it's not the media's job to clarify. That's his job. He's the one that started this. But what I'll tell you, Mike, with what you just said, you're literally opening up the doors for a white woman to come in here and call us nigger. And you talk about, well, we have to respect her thoughts and opinions on that.
How do you saying that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, if a white employee comes in here and posts a video saying of a Klan rally, Mike, saying that we're niggers, that's and she's like, oh, I don't agree with everything that's in that video.
There are documentaries that show those things, and
will that person be employed with According to Hip Hop after they post that video?
There are all kind of historic documentaries, Coop, that show those things.
Here's what I would tell you, Mike. If there was a white employee that just did what Kyrie did, and you didn't take action against them, you would be at risk of losing me. Do you understand that as a businessman? And you might have to start making choices, be like, oh no, I know who Ahmad Cooper is, and I can't have this white woman in this organization posting these type of videos because who I do business with and who I've been breaking bread and building this with is not going to go for that. And as a businessman, you would have to make a choice whether to reprimand that person, to pacify the powers that be who you were in partnership and do business with, or to let that person go to appease them. But what that person wouldn't be doing is not apologizing and staying on it according to hip hop, and you get to keep Coop. And so let me tell you what conversations got had. They was like, oh, the sponsors called.
Yeah, of course.
So what you doing? Because you don't get to keep us and keep him. What we doing here? Right, because that's business, Mike, and you don't have to like it. It don't have to be right. It's the way business gets done here. If you don't like the way business get done here, maybe you should get up out of here.
Well, you know what I understand. What I got from what you just said. We don't own anything.
We don't, Mike. I've been saying that, Mike. I want to leave because we don't own anything, and it's very clear. No matter how like Michael Jordan's a billionaire, LeBron James about to be a billionaire, Kanye support billionaire, and it's like, look at what we have. Look, did you just see what happened to Kanye?
Yeah.
It's not safe here. Hello?
Mad Max in the super chat says, what goal did Colin Cap have? Mixed Kids was using that because he was getting benched. Where was Cap-ish when Trayvon died? I remember him dismissing it.
We're splitting hairs here, and now we're like,
Mad Max says, yeah, we'll get on to the album. Mad Max says,
Kyrie ain't no Colin Kaepernick, Mike. That's really all I was saying. Kyrie and Colin Kaepernick don't be deserved to put in the same sentence. That's a disrespect to Colin Kaepernick. It really is.
As that Coop is lying for LeBron James is another guy who says things for cool points. What did Bron say about China? That guy's been exposed. Let's see what else we got. Jay Short says, Black Americans have more wealth than 95% of the countries in the world. We have enough capital to start our own league and media. Stockholm Syndrome. I do agree with that. It's hard for me to believe that with past, present athletes of all sports, that we don't have enough collectively, just between them and relationships that they have, to actually start our own stuff. Mad Max with the super chat says, but Cap was a big scam, Coop. It says, gonna big him up. That guy never said 2 words and never lived the black experience, but used it when he was getting benched. Let's see what else we got, and then we're going to get on to this Drake album. What a discussion. Art Christina says, Mike, it's all right to concede the argument. Yeah, it is.
Hey, Mike, do you remember Craig Hodges?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Sharif Abdul-Rahim?
Mm-hmm.
Remember Miles Leonard?
Miles Leonard. I vaguely
Indiana Pacers?
Yeah.
You know what they all have in common?
What's that?
Anti-Semitic statements while they were playing NBA basketball. You know what happened to their career shortly after those anti-Semitic statements?
Out of here.
No career.
Deontay Smith says, Coop,
why are we playing like we don't know what country we live in and what game we playing? Like, that's what I'm saying. Why are we even playing these games?
Deontay Smith said, Coop, what countries would you recommend to go to?
That's not how you handle it.
Deontay says, what countries do you recommend to go to, Coop?
I literally have been on a year-long deep YouTube dive. I've given heavy consideration to Colombia. One of my dear friends lives there. I had the time of my life there that was equivalent to the time that I spent in France and Italy and Colombia. And so I'm kind of like looking on a South American kick. Portugal traditionally is a place that embraces our culture more, from what I've been researching and been told, and from a couple of Spaniards who I know from my travels. And so I'm looking Philippines, Australia.
Percy says KD didn't agree with the suspension.
Oh, what did he say? I don't agree with the suspension. You want to know why, Mike? Because they might go 1-4. I wouldn't agree either. That's what I'm saying. He's a basketball player. It's like his best chance of winning basketball games is with Kyrie playing. I wouldn't agree either. That's like they like, hey, Coop can't come on YouTube for 10 days. You're like, man, you fucking with the show. I got to do the show by myself. How we going to get the numbers and do what we supposed to do if I got to do the show by myself? That's what KD's thinking. That's business, Mike.
Jermaine Young with a super chat says Kyrie went from all-star point guard and partying on yachts with white women and no black women at all to being a Native American, then a flat earther, anti-vaxxer, and now an anti-Semite, black Israeli. Man, you guys are tough
Don't
on
forget,
Kyrie.
don't forget. Every time he get hurt, he gonna stay out at least 10 to 20 games.
Man.
Since Duke.
LP with the super chat says, and it's one sided. When they I'm sorry, when they offered to have him go to a museum to get another view, he didn't go.
He
They
declined. That's what I'm
they tried
saying.
it with education. He's still learning, but learning on one side of the information. That's a fair point because if he's still discovering and still learning, then yeah, he should have taken up any offer of any level of insight. That's
Can I
fine.
tell you something? You know, there's a Holocaust Jewish historical museum down here in Atlanta, right?
That's one on Roswell Road, I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's two. Well, here's the thing, Mike. I took my daughter. You want to know why? Because I wanted her to understand that our struggle wasn't the only struggle that actually occurred. She needed to have a vantage point, a different perspective, and a viewpoint. She wants to travel the world. She wants to live outside of this country. Well, she needs to understand that the struggle doesn't just belong to us, even though our struggle is special and very dilapidating in terms of the effects, post-traumatic stress syndrome and things of such, and Stockholm syndrome like we suffer from, particularly here. You know, but I offer her those type of opportunities so her mind can be open so that she can understand, so she never ends up being like this guy.
Well, I understand that too, and and I think that I wish that, especially with so many people in so many high places, and clearly we work together on a lot of levels, that both struggles would be empathized with, you know, from an equal standpoint. And it doesn't feel like economically, especially with all the individual partnerships from, both sides, that we do get that level playing field. You know what I mean?
All I'm saying is think about this. This is what I mean. There's just a certain level of humility to it. This is what I mean. This is not my main source of income, but what we do here does financially contribute to what I bring in. If I do something wrong on here, the first thing that I think about is that, well, I'm not the owner of this, so I need to be more mindful about what I am doing to the owner's name. And then there's the fact, well, the people who help pay our bills, well, they watch us.
Right.
And so if I'm wrong, well, it's not just that I need to apologize. It's because I understand these things as a man and as a businessman. I want to apologize.
You're right.
And so I don't have a problem doing it. And so that's what I mean. Well, he's showing a lot of who he's not as a man, in my opinion. But the business side of it is just poor business. That's what I mean. Any way you want to turn it, it don't look good. It's like, I can give you my opinion personally. It's like I don't respect it, and it looks super weak. And it's like, that's the type of dude, like, I'm going to tell you what it reminds me of, Mike. He reminds me of how Kobe was when I met Kobe, except for like we were both in our mid-20s when I met Kobe, and Kobe was just like so super arrogant and like beyond reproach at that point. And I was just like, bro, like, you're not that serious out here, like in the big scope of things. And Kyrie's finding that out right now. Like that shit that I said to Kobe when we was younger at Fashion Island one day, I was like, fam, you're not that real big in the scope of things. Kyrie finding out, it's like, fam, you're not that big in the scope of things. Like, your money and your power's not like that. Stop talking this way until you get your money and your power right and you want to go to war.
Like Kanye did. Jermaine Young with the super chat says Myers Leonard got suspended for 10 games for calling someone on Twitch a Jewish racial slur.
Yeah,
He then
never
got
played
traded
again.
and then released and now is out
Never
of the
played
league.
again. He sure didn't.
Sean with the super chat says, hey guys, I see y'all posted 400 Degrees anniversary. What happened to 400 versus Chopper City in the ghetto battle? We should do that.
Hold on. We actually need a Monday Patreon versus battle. Let's transition.
Hold on. Jay Short with the super chat says, look at the influence A2HH has on your resources. I believe you cost Jack Harlow millions. What could these guys do with their money and resources? Right. I mean, I think that y'all think that we cost Jack Harlow millions? Don't let drama know, man. I got love for drama. Kenneth Parker with the super chat says, would have been okay if a white athlete posted Birth of a Nation on their timeline. I just think that we need to respect people's struggles. I agree. You know what? And a lot of people have given Birth of a Nation a lot of props over the years, and no one said anything. I find Birth of a Nation extremely disrespectful. I do. All right. You ready to go on to this Drake album?
I am, but you understand? Like it's like we're not playing a fair game. We have to play this game smarter, wiser, more calculated, more consolidated, more objectively, more
That's fine.
rationally.
But you know
We
what?
have to
At the
do.
end of the day,
No, people don't really understand. It's like no. When the old folks used to say you have to be better at everything, this is what they were talking about.
but this
All
is
right.
the thing though, Coop. Not all of your not all of your soldiers are gonna, go to war in the same fashion. I think, and I don't agree with everything that Mr. Ye did over the past month,
Me
but
neither.
I feel like to some level it was necessary. I do.
How
It
about this?
revealed a lot for a lot of people, and there are a lot of younger people who haven't really experienced shit in real time. But when they see the dominoes falling, that's a learning experience for them.
No, I get that. This is what I'm saying, and this is what I mean about the Kyrie thing.
So I said Jack Harlow got a Taco Bell commercial
If Kyrie
and
think,
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
hold on. That's what I'm saying. No. Kanye, money and power, him making that move offers a revealing of sorts. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie's move doesn't offer a revealing, Mike. It offers you what you know. It's like, you can't say that here. And if you say that, hammer going to be laid down. And if you do not capitulate to the hammer, they're going to get rid of you. And so you better apologize. And here's exactly how it happened. He did what he did and tried to use his power. And they showed him, your power ain't like that. Here's what's about to go on. Like notice the team said, oh, the 5 games is a minimum, as in we being flexible without paying you at this point because the people that are above us as a team are applying so much pressure to us that we don't know when we're bringing you back. So I suggest you get your shit together like a good little employee and apologize. And every black man is familiar with that. He just showed how special he's not, even though he's worth a couple $100 million. Now, if he's worth a couple $100 million and he can't pull this shit off, what that tell you about what this money and this power really look like before you need to start talking this way or posting videos that disseminate some of this information that certain factions may not like?
Well, this is what I
Where
was
the
saying.
hell this nigga been?
This is what I'll say, Coop.
Ass. He been in America? Has he been in America as an adult, grown black man?
Well, Coop, this is what and again,
Niggas
I agree
asking
with you on a lot of that.
South side, he won't
Oh,
do
let
this
me finish,
no more.
man. I agree with all those things, and I think that a lot of those things are predicted. But I do disagree on the fact that he did provide us some level of a reveal because I feel like the way that people like Shaq, Shannon Sharp, Charles Barkley, even Jason Williams, Kendrick Perkins, a lot of these guys, the way they responded, it was revealing. It really was. There's a way to actually have this discussion in a similar fashion you and I did, other than, getting on live television and calling a man an idiot, going all in, going crazy about it. It's like, whoa, are you the watchdog or something? Even Shaq going in on Kanye West the other day when Kanye just went out there. Kanye just went out there and pointed out that, okay, these partnerships aren't equal as they're saying that they are. And Shaq goes all in on him. It's like, okay, we touched the nerve or something.
No.
That's revealing.
No, all of these. No. What Kanye doing is revealing. What I'm saying, what Kyrie doing is telling us something that we already knew. And if you didn't know it, you better act like you know.
Well, again.
I didn't say I agree. I'm telling. This is what I'm saying. This is what I mean. You'd be a great human resources director, Mike. Great civil rights activist, because you're getting to the crux of what's fundamentally wrong. I'm telling you how the business structure works and what you are not going to do and what your money and your power needs to look like before you start making certain moves and revealing certain things. Because all you're really going to reveal is that they're going to look at you and treat you like a what at the end of the day, even with $200 million in your pocket? Right.
I understand that. But what I'm talking about is the other employees that they're able to turn on you. Because at the end of the day, they're showing that their lack of power is there as well. That's Mike, disheartening.
No.
These are our heroes.
Hold on. The power is in the fact that we're not consolidated in ours. Mm-hmm. Their power lies in the fact that we're not consolidated in ours, Mike. That's what I'm saying. It's like, oh, if you didn't know that already, well, shame on you.
And that brings us back around to that Negro League start of this conversation.
Correct, Mike. Very great.
And that's why that was a whole issue with me. And I feel like Jackie Robinson started a snowball effect that we can't reverse.
And I think
36
this is the
Chambers.
point that I tell you, Mike.
Yeah.
This is all very problematic. Yes, it is. Next topic.
All right.
Yes,
36 Chambers says, is Premier versus Dilla still on the table for the versus? Yeah, I think we should do that one next.
Is it Premier Dilla time?
I want that one.
Oh, you want to do?
I want to do the. I got Dilla, right?
You do, unless you're changing your mind.
No, I want Dilla.
Okay.
We got the Premier and Dilla next. Yes, that's Monday. LP with the super chat says, the Fed said we get paid too much and the employment rate is too high. The Fed said that we need to pay less and cut jobs. Real conspiracy happens in front of your faces. It's financial, not religious. Man, LP spitting game tonight.
He is dropping bars.
Intelligence is scary, says, I just want to say I really appreciate you two brothers, LOL. The knowledge and game y'all give us is unreal and unmatched. We need, according to hip hop. I'ma always support y'all. Peace and love. Appreciate that. Intelligence is scary. Peace. And yes, intelligence is scary. Jay Short says, people in the chat who want y'all to do a 3-hour show on reviews are like folks asking for a blunt to be passed, but never putting a dime to contribute. Shout out to the contributors out there. We love you.